Hi guys, it's Arsh Ellahi, and in today's video we're going to be talking about commercial property and is this still a safe and sound investment. And we're going to be looking at a couple of examples. So I'm going to be showing you ones that are doing extremely well. I'm going to be showing you some that maybe not so well. So I need a small favour from you. Before we do anything, would you mind pressing that subscribe button and pressing the notification bell so that every time I release a video you get notified of it. So, get straight into it. What is commercial property? So generally when we refer to as commercial property, lots of people think of the high street. People think of the Marks and Spencers, the BHSs, or some of these high street shops. Then you start looking at industrial, so some of the industrial warehouses that we see. These are all commercial properties. But believe it or not, do you realise that commercial properties could also be considered something as small as a convenience store just in the middle of a street with some shops above? That's a commercial property. So anything that is not a residential dwelling, something that you do not live in and something that you do run a business from, can be considered a commercial property. Now I should say that commercial property can also be stemmed into HMOs as well, and the reason why I say that is because if you've got a larger than normal HMO, so for argument's sake you've got 7, 8, 9, 10 bed HMO where you've gone above and beyond the threshold of the 6 threshold, so normally in a non-Article 4 area, and I'd suggest that if you don't know what Article 4 is, you do a quick search on YouTube and it'll give you a quick explanation of what Article 4 is. But if you're in a non-Article 4 area, normally you can run anything up to a 6-bed HMO without planning. Now, if you go above the 6th threshold, that means that you've gone above and beyond, and chances are there are not going to be any other 7, 8, 9, 10-bed HMOs in that area, so therefore you can now consider this as a commercial entity, which means that you can potentially get commercial finance. Now we're not going to be talking about commercial finance in the video because that is a completely different topic, and if you want me to cover commercial finance I can do in the forthcoming videos. What we're going to be looking at today is commercial property as an investment. Is it still safe? And we're going to be looking at some examples. Now, first example that I'm going to be showing you is the one on screen now. And what this is a large Sainsburys. So the reason why I just on my way into the office today, I took some photos of some commercial properties. I thought that these would be good examples. Now, as you see on screen, we've got this Sainsburys, and that is a commercial property. More importantly, I would consider this a good investment. And the reason why I say that is because when Sainsburys normally take something on, they normally take it on a long-term lease. They take it on, circa 10, 15, 20, 25, even up to a 50-year lease, if they think that there's a good location and a sustainable location. Now, from a landlord's point of view, if you own this property and you've now got a covenant, when we talk about covenants, we're talking about the type of tenant, the strength of the tenant. So if we say that you've got a good covenant, you've got good strength in that tenant. That's the easiest way of explaining it. So if you've got Sainsburys as your tenant, you've got a good strong covenant, which means that when you come to refinance or when you come to get gearing or finance on this property, the banks are going to look at it and say, yes, we've got a very strong blue chip company as in Sainsburys as a tenant. So therefore it's a very secure investment. Therefore, you're going to get a much higher valuation on a property than if it was just what I would consider a local retailer that may not be as strong or have the financial backing of a company like Sainsburys. So, when we look at Sainsburys and they're taking this property on, they would have signed a long lease and it will be a strong covenant and there'll be lots of things in there. So Sainsburys won't be stupid. They would have put break clauses in. So they won't have taken it for the whole 25 years. They may have taken it for the first 10. They may have put a break clause in. So that's something that you as a landlord have to take into consideration when you're creating these leases. So I would consider that personally. And the reason why I've shown this one, I did a YouTube video of this site previously. I was trying to buy this site and I got outbid. My plan was to build houses on it. Someone else's vision was to build commercial property on it, and as a result they've got a great covenant and it's producing. I think Sainsburys are paying them £90,000 a year, which is equivalent to £7,000 a month, if my maths are correct. £7,500 a month. So that is a great investment. We're now going to look at a couple of others. We're going to break it down a bit. So not every property that you're going to look at is going to be a Sainsbury's style property. Property number 2. So here we have a shop, and you can see what would be considered like living accommodation or residential above. Now you can see that the shop's been shut. Now I can tell you a little story about this shop. This shop has now been shut approximately 15 years. So it was quite a thriving convenience store. Now when the owner decided to retire, no one else has been able to take that shop on. For whatever reason, I'm not sure whether the rent is too high, whether it's a sustainable location. I know lots of people have looked at it, but they can't make it. They can't make the numbers stack. And this is one of the downfalls with commercial property, because with residential, with a house, if it becomes vacant, it's pretty certain that providing that the property is in a decent condition, it's going to get let within the next month or two. It's never really going to be vacant for long periods of time, or it shouldn't be vacant for long periods of time. If it is, you need to ask yourself the question why. Is it because it needs work, etc.? But with commercial property, it's a completely different ball game. And the reason why I say that is because it could be vacant, a day. It could be vacant 6, 12, 18 months, even longer. How many times, the example that I can give you now, walk down the high street. How many commercial properties are you seeing sat vacant? If I walked down Wolverhampton High Street now, I could show you large buildings that are just sat there vacant. If I took you to Birmingham, if I took you to Grand Central, John Lewis has just vacated one of the biggest buildings in Grand Central, which means that who is now going to take that property on? More importantly, a landlord somewhere owns that property, which means that how long is it going to be vacant for? They can't guarantee, they can't tell, because now they are reliant on another retailer of that size or retailer to come and occupy that space. Whilst that property is vacant, they are still paying business rates. Now, business rates is not the same as council tax, because it is a lot heftier. And when you've got retail space in high street locations, we could be talking the best part of £5,000 to £10,000 a month, depending on the size of the location, because they look at the square footage, they look at pound per square foot, etc. So it can be quite costly when a property is vacant. And then you've got all the other costs associated. So you may have mortgage outgoings, you can have your business rates, you may have some other outgoings. Plus, whilst that property is vacant, chances are that it may be subject to vandalism. So we can see this property on screen that, okay, the shutters have just been vandalised, but still, it's going to still be an additional cost. It's been sat empty for a long time, which means that during that whole period, the owner of this building would have been paying business rates. Now, the difference with this property in particular is that it's got residential above. So I know that it's got an apartment above it. So perhaps that's probably one of the reasons why the owners may not be as motivated to do something with the ground floor, because they've already got an income generating from the first floor. And there are lots of shops and lots of premises like this all over the country, where you've got commercial on the ground, you've got residential above. And this, if it goes well, could be quite a secure investment. And the reason why I say that is because, pretty similar to a HMO, in theory, not all of it should always be vacant. At some point, one part might be vacant, so the residential may be vacant and the ground floor might be empty. The upstairs may be vacant, the downstairs may be occupied. There'll be points where the downstairs might be vacant and the upstairs be occupied, but either way, there's still some form of income coming in. Now, you can still get commercial finance on these properties, because again, it's got a commercial element to it. And in the same respect, they can be good investments, because if you get a long-term tenant in the ground floor, and generally shops like this, you get convenience stores, you get hardware stores, you get tattoo parlours, you get like the small bakeries, small cafe shops. One thing I will say is that just be conscious of the type of tenant that you put in on the ground floor, because if you put like a hot takeaway, so for argument's sake, a chip shop or like a fast food outlet, that may affect your ability to get finance on it, because then the mortgage companies may perceive your property to be high risk. That's just a little tip. Not many people know that, by the way. So we're going to go on to property number 3. Now this one is right opposite my office. And believe it or not, we've talked about Sainsburys, we're now going to talk about Barclays. So this property has been here for as far as I can remember. Barclays have occupied that building for the best part of 25 years. And only recently, when I say recently, within the last 6 months, they've decided that Barclays as a group have decided to start closing a lot of their branches and either trying to push people more online, where you can now pay in checks and everything via the app, or you can start to pay money via other methods like post offices or other branches, which are slightly more dotted out, shall we say. So this location was really quite a busy location and has now decided to shut. Now, luckily, I know the landlord of this property, and originally when Barclays took this property on, they signed a 50-year lease with this property. Now, just something to bear in mind is that the 50-year lease is a long time, and they've probably done a large majority of that, but there would have been a break clause in that contract, which Barclays probably would have either exited from, or they would have bought themselves out of the contract. So the way that Barclays probably perceived this, it's probably cheaper for us to exit by buying ourselves out of the contract, as opposed to maintaining here and going with all the building costs and the running costs of the building. So they would have made that commercial decision. Now, problem with this property, as you can see, is very much built and geared towards like a bank, which means that how long is this property now going to be sat vacant for? Now, it's been vacant for the best part of 6 months as we speak right now, but how long is it going to be vacant for? Now we're reliant, I know there's agents out there and it's to let, they want the best part of £40,000 a year. It's a big space. So they're now looking for another retailer or another person that's going to be able to occupy that space, pay £40,000 a year. As well as that, there's going to have to be a lot of refurb costs in there. There's going to have to, I can imagine that property being sat vacant for quite a while. And this is one of the problems, because there's no guarantee that someone's going to come in and say, yes, I like it, I want it straight away. There's going to be lots of things that go along the way. There may be rent-free periods that need to be offered. There may need to be a relief on some of the rates. More importantly, where do we begin with this Barclays building? Well, during that whole period, the landlord again is going to pay their mortgages. They're going to have to pay their business rates. So lots that is going to have to go on with this building. It comes to a point where some point that the landlord may become a motivated landlord, and we come across this all the time. Lots of landlords have got properties where it's vacant, and because it's been vacant for such a long time, they can no longer afford to almost like sustain the losses. So again, commercial property is good when it goes well, but when it becomes vacant and you have got such large spaces which is catered specifically for a specific retailer or for a specific industry like the bank for Barclays, what you do with it in that scenario, you're now reliant on probably another bank coming in, or you're reliant on someone that's going to want to put a substantial amount of investment into that property to take it on another long-term lease. But how long does that take? When does that come along? Will it be vacant a few months? Will it be vacant 6 months? Will it be vacant a few years? And you've got to factor this in when you're investing in commercial property. From a finance point of view, they are quite easy to finance, providing that you've got the right covenant in place. We talked about Sainsburys. If it's vacant, commercial buildings can be difficult to finance because the bank, or should I say the mortgage company, will be looking at it from a point of view that it's not generating any income. So therefore we have to look at the sustainability of the investment. Are they looking at it now from a bricks and mortar point of view as opposed to a commercial point of view? These are all the questions that the lender will ask of you. So it may be a strain on your finances. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an introduction. 3 kind of different types of examples that I'm showing you in this video. And feel free, if you've got any questions or any comments, please feel free to leave them below. Lots of people ask me all the time, how many commercial properties have I got? And believe it or not, it's only a handful. Would I go out my way to buy commercial property? I would only really buy a commercial property if I saw a plan B with it. So plan A would be to run it as commercial. Plan B would be, is there a residential angle to it? So could I convert, if it didn't go according to plan, could I convert the commercial element into residential, which then takes me back into my comfort zone, allowing me to still generate income from it? So can I increase value from it? You know, from a commercial point of view, I like the fact that I can refinance against its commercial value and potentially get all my money back out, allowing me to go again and again and again. And this is what lots of people do with commercial property. You can also purchase properties, commercial properties, through pension schemes, or whether you've got a SIP, you can buy them through there, and it is quite tax advantageous. I would suggest that you go off and get independent tax advice or financial advice before you do something like that. So guys, hopefully you've enjoyed that video. It gives you a good indication as to what to look out for when you're investing and what you're looking out for when you're looking at commercial properties. As always, if you want more free content, you can go and listen to my podcast. We release every Tuesday at 6 a.m. It's called The Property Rebel. You can find it on all podcast stores. So you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, just to name a few. As well as that, you can connect with me on social media. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram and Twitter under the handles of Arsh Ellahi. Finally, if you are looking for commercial properties, if you are looking for other deals like below market value deals, rent to rent deals, service accommodation deals, just to name a few, have you downloaded the Property Investor app? It's the UK's first property investment platform which showcases all kinds of deals like this all over the country. So in order to get access to that, you've got two ways. You can either go to our website, which is www.propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, you can go to the App Store and type in Property Investor. It'll take you 2 minutes to register and download, and you'll see all these opportunities in the palm of your hand. And the best thing is that it's absolutely free. Now, finally, if you wouldn't mind just doing me a small favour, if you haven't already done so, please like the video. Please press subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And I look forward to speaking to you all very soon. Thank you and bye-bye.